The Face of Janus started out originally, was pitched by Rashawn, and his idea was to come up with this point and click mystery game, a 2D game. You know, you go around the area, you're trying to solve puzzles, solve riddles, and that's kind of what the idea started out as.
The original concept is a lot more simplistic than what we actually ended up with. And although increasing the level of complexity of our game meant that we'd have to do a lot more work, the changes that were made have proven to be more beneficial towards adding the kind of player interaction and sense of immersion that we were looking for.
As we started developing, though, we came into situations we had to think about, do we really want to keep it 2D? Do we want to try and make it 3D? If we make it 3D, do we want to try and have it a third-person controller or a first-person controller? And we kind of had to think about long-term, if we went with one decision, how would it affect another decision?
We wanted the player to feel as if they were a part of the story and that their decisions have an impact on the direction of it.
Working on the Face of Janus definitely had its ups and downs. I would say the process that worked the most for us was dropping mechanics that didn't fit in the game or time constraints and recognizing those early on. An idea that didn't work too well was trying to code an entire dialogue system from scratch, as this consumed a lot of our time initially.
As such, we implemented a dialogue system from the Unity Asset Store that allowed us to branch the narrative based on the choices the player makes throughout.
And the dialogue system, while ponderous, worked well enough but had a huge learning curve we discovered very quickly. With the time constraints we had for this project, we could not add everything we wanted to.
Now, while this system was every bit of what we'd hoped it would be, and then some, it didn't come without its fair share of complications. Implementing it required us to familiarize ourselves with Lua, a programming language that none of us had any experience working with prior to the project.
Finding the Pixel Crusher's dialogue manager was definitely a plus for us because it removed the need for a lot of hard coding in terms of setting up the NPC interactions and the branching dialogue system. Because of that, we were able to play with the variables a lot more efficiently, and as a result, we were able to set up more complex interactions with the NPCs as well as objects and doors, things of that nature. Another thing that sort of went wrong is that we had to scale back on the scope of the original concept of the game. A lot of mechanics that we thought were going to get in there actually didn't end up in there.
The karma system was something that we really were looking forward to. It was something basically handled either you do a good deed or you did a bad deed. That would determine the ending of the game. Obviously, if you did good, you would get the best ending, and obviously, if you did the bad, you'd get the worst ending.
We were going to have an agitation meter for the interrogation system. We were going to have entire NPC profiles set up. If the players would take the time to find out more about the NPCs that he was interacting with, he would be able to use that information in order to agitate them less, or perhaps get some kind of advantage that normally wouldn't be available.
Because we wanted our game to be narrative-based and branch off of the player's decisions, not only did we have to plan the direction of the narrative, but the direction of every iteration of player choice as well. In the end, I think what we came up with works rather nicely and would not have been possible without proper planning and testing.
One of the most important skills that I learned throughout my experience was identifying and solving problems, whether that be in coding, Unity itself, or transferring files. Knowing where the problem came from and knowing how to fix it was very important.
Skills over the last couple months here I've learned time management. Basically, time management has been the key thing for us to implement all these builds, get them on time, make sure you test the build.
But overall, it was a great experience. I definitely got a great idea of what the realistic hurdles a game development team encounters in production would be.
I think we can all agree that the original version of the game morphed, and in the end, what we have now is a huge difference from what it started out with those many months ago.
Definitely a cool process to be able to see something go from nothing into what we have now.